Gambling is an activity that has its ups and downs. Mainly downs in my circumstance anyway, but it is something that I have enjoyed doing for many years now. And over the past few years, I have seen an absolute bombardment, like a crazy increase in gambling platforms advertisements within Australia specifically. And today I thought it would be worth talking about some of the impacts that it can have on individuals and their finances. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Reese, and in today's video, I'm going to be talking about how gambling has affected my own personal finances over the years, and I'm going to throw in some personal stats along the way to keep it interesting. This video is going to be the first I make surrounding the topic of gambling because in general there is a lot of content to cover, all the way through to good practices to have with gambling, how to set deposit limits, and what is important to avoid falling into bad gambling habits. It is a finance topic, and I do believe it's worth covering in depth over time to let the message sink in. So for today's video, ironically, place your bets now on how much money I have lost to gambling since I started definitely gambling from the legal age of 18. Definitely wasn't gambling prior to that. From the legal age of 18 up until today. Throughout the video, I'll go through the statistics and total it at the end. For now, I want to say that I consider myself very fortunate that I have never developed a bad gambling problem. I am definitely the type of person to latch onto things that I enjoy doing. I get that adrenaline rush when I gamble. It's such a good feeling, but I've never actually walked away from a bet with my hands in my head, basically crying about my losses, which is a really good thing in my opinion, because this means that I only gamble with what I'm willing to lose, and I'm able to walk away once I do eventually lose, like in most circumstances. From the day I turned 18, there was always some form of excitement surrounding the topic of gambling. And this came from both the people that I chose to spend my time with and direct pushes from advertisement, which knew exactly what to put in front of my face to entice me to get on board with whatever program they were running. When I was younger, winning money was very exciting and appealing to me because at that time, I did not have much to my name. I was working in a local supermarket making minimum wage, which at the time was roughly $200 a week on a good week. So when I saw the potential to earn thousands of dollars within a fraction of the time, my easily manipulatable mind definitely wanted to jump at the opportunity presented in front of me. And I tried plenty of the gambling options that were available to me at the time. I'm talking about things like going to the casino and learning just how quickly the blackjack tables can drain my money. Playing online poker was another one, definitely playing cross lotto, and the most dangerous in my opinion was betting on sports, also known as sports betting, which came at a time when I was definitely most vulnerable, and this was kind of the start of these sports betting apps coming into play, where I latched onto it like wildfire. It's something that I found a lot of fun in doing and lost plenty of money whilst I was doing it. And this is why I'm talking about it today. See, back then, as enticing as it was quite difficult to get access to these apps. Whereas today, within the span of about 10 minutes, you can have an active account and be betting on any type of sport from around the world within an instant. I actually scraped the transaction history off of my own personal account because I have never actually gone back and looked at how much money I have put into the platform, and the results even shocked me. Now, before I go into these details, I just want you to understand that I am aware that what I'm about to show you in terms of losses isn't that crazy. Like, I know problem gamblers lose a hell of a lot more money than what I'm about to show you. I think the point that I really want to make from this is that at 18 years old, even losing $10 at a time still played mind tricks on me. It wasn't an insignificant amount. That was still 5% of my weekly take-home pay if I lost $10 in a week, or even if I lost more than that. The point that I needed to make as well is that a lot of these bets that I was making were very small in nature, so the size of them doesn't look big. But if you do that over 30 bets and I lose all 30, that's a pretty significant number of bets to be making in a short period of time. The point is, I know that the amount that I have lost won't be crazy or too significant to most people anyway, but the nature of it at the time, my age of when I was gambling on these apps in particular, for me, it was somewhat concerning. And the other thing I need to note is that if you are someone with a gambling problem, you are someone who needs help, use this forum as the opportunity to make that first step. I've left links in the description below to actual resources which will help people get the help they need. They're designed and set up by the government to help people. So if you are someone who needs those resources, please use those links down in the description below. And if you're down in the description below, now would be a really good time to hit that like and subscribe button. I really do appreciate the support. It goes a long way for the channel, and I'm done plugging myself. Let's get into the juicy stuff. Let's have a look at some of these stats. Okay, so it's not that bad at all. For some reason in my head, I thought I was going to be in trouble. I opened my account back in 2013. It's currently 2022. Less than 10 years. Look at these numbers. It's not too bad. And from the looks of some of these bets as well, I liked to place stupid multi-bets for tiny amounts of money, hoping that they would pay out thousands of dollars if they all won. Every now and then I bet on random things and won small amounts, and then continued on playing with my winnings until I lost it all again. So according to this data, I have only deposited $400 total from my bank account over a 10-year period. To be honest, I'm pretty shocked about. I thought that number was much higher. With that, I was able to accumulate about $1,220 in winnings, bringing my total losses to $1,650 on this one particular app. And my biggest win was for about $100 for a $3 bet, which I think is pretty funny. Like I said, to be completely honest, I am shocked that my deposits were kept so low. And touching on the other types of gambling activities that I took part in, let's have a look at some of those statistics as well. The first would be the trips that I took to the casino. Every time I've ever been to a casino, I allow myself to play with a maximum of $100, meaning every time I've ever gone to a casino, I've probably spent in the realm of about $100, and at certain periods in my life, I was going every couple of months. So I would put my losses in, I would say, the low thousands, and that's purely based off the fact that I know I've never walked out of a casino with money in my pocket, which is definitely a bad habit. However, it's something that I totally allowed myself to do because I really enjoyed the thrill and excitement of playing the games. That's one major reason why I set myself a limit of how much I was allowed to lose or even play with within the casino. This definitely kept me really grounded whenever I went to these establishments, and it's something that I still actively use today, and it served me really well in the sense that I never chase my losses and I'm never too upset with losing a bit of money at the casino, as long as I have the opportunity to enjoy the time that I'm playing, which usually I play pretty low stakes. I get a good half an hour to a couple of hours of gameplay out of it. Cross Lotto, on the other hand, is one that I definitely fell into the traps of. I used to work at a local supermarket, and we had a Cross Lotto machine that we had to run. And there was a man who used to come in, I won't name and shame. The people who live in my local area will probably know who this is if they're watching this video and they come across this segment. Basically, he played Keno, which is a very popular game here in Australia where you can bet as little as $1 with the opportunity to win anywhere up to over $1 million, which is very exciting for the cost it is to enter. Now, I, along with everyone else that worked there, served this man, learned the game, and ended up spending thousands of dollars over the years because it became part of the shift. People loved to gamble on this one particular game in particular, and it's something that I myself definitely fell into the trap of and spent a lot of money playing. I never won anything big from this. The most I've ever won was about $50 in one hit, which isn't that exciting when you're trying to play for thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, and even $1 million. So I never actually got the adrenaline rush of winning big with this particular game, and it's something that definitely had to make today's list because it definitely would make up a large portion of my losses over the past decade. Fast forward all the way to today, where I'm much more reserved with my gambling routine. I definitely still do gamble in different formats, and I'll go through them in a moment, but it is something to note that I'm much more mature in how I gamble today. I still do gamble throughout the year, just much less frequently. The first thing that I definitely enter several times a year is something called the Hospital Research Home Lottery, which is a medical research lottery where you basically buy a ticket. It's like a raffle, and if you win, there are some pretty cool prizes, even being a house as the top prize generally. Now, I know a couple of people who have won pretty big from this competition. It's something that's exciting to be in, and it goes towards a good cause. It cost me about $130 to enter into this competition every 3 or 6 months, depending on how often they run it. And it's something I'm very comfortable spending my money on. I only play Cross Lotto when the jackpot is above $50 million, because you have to be in it, right? You have to be in it to win it. I buy roughly 3 tickets a year here in Australia. It doesn't get that high that often. So when it does happen, it's a spectacle, it's a bit of excitement. And that sees me spending about $100 a year, which really isn't all that much considering. And I haven't gambled at a casino in a long while. It's something that I definitely am cautious of, but something that I would allow myself to play with my limit of $100 if I were to go out with friends and be in that environment. I'm okay with that. That's a limit that I've set. It's a rule that I've set with myself. And if I can afford to do it, I can afford to do it. I don't have to feel bad about spending a bit of money there and enjoying myself. They are pretty much the main 3. Everything else is kind of negligent, other than the fact that I might have a poker night with some friends and put 20 bucks in, winner takes all every now and then, which doesn't happen all that often these days. So with that being said, now being about 10 years since I started legally gambling, I would put my losses somewhere in the realm between $10,000 and $20,000, which might seem like a significant number, which it kind of is for sure. But over that period of time, over a 10-year period, that is me creating some pretty good memories for myself, not feeling too bad about the losses that I've incurred. And out of that, I would have won some money, which would have just kind of fed back into that overall loss of $10,000 to $20,000. So it wouldn't just have all been money straight out of my pocket. In a nutshell, that's what I've calculated it to be. Do what you want with that information. I don't know if it's good or bad. I'm sure compared to some, it's not that bad. The point that I want to hit home is that I believe I'm pretty disciplined and have good self-control. So even in the instances where I lost, I'll say, large amounts of money for myself and how much I was comfortable gambling with, I was able to keep a level head and not go chasing my losses, knowing that playtime was over and I needed to move on from spending money on whatever it was that I was gambling on. Whereas there are people, including people in my own friend circle, who have over the years lost large sums of money and been absolutely consumed by the toxic environment of what these gambling advertisers do and how they sucker them in with their tactics, to the point where I know some people who have lost entire paychecks and had to take out personal loans which have high interest tacked onto them to just get by until the next time they are paid. It is a dangerous and very hard world to get out of once you put yourself in a position of serious losses. And I am definitely aware of how bad these situations can get. And that's why I've started this series, why I'm talking about it today, and why I'm going to make a couple more videos on the topic explaining what you can do to kind of combat this, shed some light into the importance of why you should want to combat this. And then in one of my videos, I'll probably go through some examples of some pretty bad times that people have had, pretty bad gambling experiences, to just kind of paint the picture and drive the message home. I'll dive into those topics in those future videos. For now, if you are someone who does need help, like I said at the start of this video, use the links in the resources that I've provided down below. I think they will definitely help you if you're someone who needs to join that road of recovery. All the best to you. With that being said, that's pretty much all I have for today's video. I hope it was insightful. I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed this story that I projected out into the big bad world. I know it wasn't too crazy, but nonetheless, I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit that like and subscribe button down below. Don't forget to turn on bell notifications so you don't miss any of the videos I release. And with that being said, I will leave you there. Have a good day. Have a good week. And as always, thanks for watching. Bye for now. See you in the next one.